beautiful workshop for you guys.
Trade limitless on HMX, the next gen decentralized perpetual exchange. Trade crypto, FX, commodities with up to 1000x leverage on the Arbitrum network. Benefit from low fees, multi asset collateral support, and cross margin flexibility. Check them out.
From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, with the people. Floki, together there is no stopping us.
Hello, folks. Again, this is Jimmy, and this is Castillo Trading. Hi,
Good
Castillo. How
morning.
are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys. It's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning here, and just thankful to be here.
Yeah, likewise. We are very happy to have you here as well. Castillo, if you don't mind, just give us like a quick, summary how you started with trading and crypto and a little bit of your background.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Really, I started learning trading about, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years ago. I started in about 2015, kind of learning the process, right?
Wow.
I went to the University of New Mexico, and studied biology and chemistry, but it wasn't really the right fit, right? Like kind of getting a job out of college, and you kind of just understand the 9 to 5, right? You kind of fall into the workflow. And for me, I just always thought that there was something more, not that I needed to be a millionaire or billionaire or anything like that. That was never the goal. The goal was always like time freedom, right? You kind of get stuck in the process of the routine that everybody thinks you should go through, right? You go to high school, you graduate, you go to a nice college, you graduate, you find a nice job, you have 40, 50 years of that job before you're able to retire. And then when you retire, you're too old to even travel. So I just thought there was more to life than just the basic, I don't know, black and white routine. So that's where I started getting into trading. I had a pretty rough job out of college that was just putting a lot of stress on me, right? So that's when I pivoted and was like, there's got to be more. How can we, subsidize and make a little bit more capital for not having to be in that workforce all the time, right? And so that's kind of where I found trading. And I found trading and just fell in love with it. There was no, even after losing money, blowing up accounts, there was no going back. It just knew that this was something that I needed to make work for myself.
Wow, interesting. So, out of curiosity, Castillo, did you start with first with crypto, or was it like the legacy market?
Yeah, no, I started legacy markets. Really, I started in penny stocks and
Oh,
micro caps. Like it was, there was a couple of ways that I decided to go. For me, a lot of people look down on like paid groups, right? Like they say paid
mhm.
groups are scams, like this and that, yada yada. But for me, when I first started, I did about 4 or 5 different paid groups within penny stocks. There's a couple names like Kunal, Bulls of Wall Street. I joined up his team. Tim Sykes Trading Challenge, Foos 4, Cameron Foos Trading. So there was a lot of education that I got coming my way, right? I was never against paying for a paid group, just because I came into markets not knowing really anything other than buying some Apple stock, maybe buying some Microsoft stock
Mhm.
throughout my lifetime. But so for me, it was very key to kind of get educated, right? I didn't want to just go in with money and then lose it right away, and then be envious of the process, be envious of trading. It's really, I kind of wanted it to do it the right way, where I got educated. I probably learned and took a couple courses for about a year before actually trading my real capital. But again, that didn't really help much. I still lost all that money anyways, right? It's called market tuition. You're going to have to pay some money anyways to lose and learn. But yeah, that's just exactly kind of how I got started, was down the penny stock route. And then, again, you kind of start to broaden everything, right? You get into options, you get into, some margin accounts. And, for the longest time, I was actually very against crypto.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just didn't really see the point in it. For me, I was a very quick trader, like in and out. I traded probably the first 30 minutes of the market open, and then the power hour of the close, which is the last hour of the market close. So those were like the two areas that I traded the most. So I really didn't hold positions for very long, maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes even 5 minutes to kind of capture just those quick moves, those quick momentum moves. And crypto being open 24/7 didn't really give me like a good, it didn't really give me any ease inside, right? Because I wanted to be sleeping. I didn't want to have to worry about positions. I didn't, want to have to worry about, Asia markets opening and then completely dumping on us, so I really was against crypto, but yeah, no, that's kind of how I started with just traditional finance, and then eventually I started to transition into crypto a little bit more, just because I started to hear more about it. And again, you kind of get into it around. I got into it around 2017 when everything was kind of running, right? There was like the Ripple, Cardano, really like Ethereum.
Good old days.
The good old days. Yeah, that's really when I started, but I really wasn't able to
Yeah.
capitalize on that cycle, right? I kind of came in a little bit late.
Uh-huh.
But nonetheless, it was just something that I started to fall in love with. Once you kind of learn blockchain, once you kind of learn crypto, you kind of dive into what actually is going on within the public ledger. You don't really turn back. You know that the system is pretty broken as far as finance goes, as far as banking goes, and that's kind of why I stayed. There's no reason to, obviously I still trade legacy markets, and I'll still trade, some stocks and Apple and some options on Robinhood. That's the thing. But as far as crypto goes, like I think it's the future. I think that, obviously, crypto has a big, people kind of talk about those big transfers of wealth, right?
Mhm.
One of my mentors from LA told me that in everybody's lifetime, you get two big transfers of wealth, right? And the first one for me was the dot-com bubble. I wasn't able to capitalize on that. I was pretty young at the time, right? So when everything started going crazy, but then this next one, I think that the next generational shift in money is going to be cryptocurrency. And, whether it be Bitcoin, whether it be Ethereum, whether it be some sort of stable coin, the government and SEC ties to banking, I don't really know, but I do think that it is the future. And again, I gave it a 5-year plan, maybe like 3 years ago. So, maybe another 5 years from here. I don't really know. The time frame doesn't really worry me too much. Just because the longer that crypto kind of stays under the radar, I think a lot of people with the ETF delay, the delay is a good thing, right? Because we don't want the ETF to be approved and it get into, the traditional trading systems. We would love the ETF to get delayed as long as possible. We want price to go lower as much as possible so that we can accrue as much Bitcoin over, the short amount of time that we have before the approval does happen, because it is coming.
Yeah, really good points. I mean, as far as I can remember, the SEC is really good in utilizing the 240 days, because by law and regulation, they need to reject or approve a ETF within that time frame. And basically 90%, something like that, 95%, all of them, they got delayed. I'm not talking only about crypto related ETF, but the ETFs in general.
Yeah.
And it's funny how good people are in overreacting on a delay. It always fascinates me. But what also fascinates me is actually your legacy background. So you basically first started with penny stocks and then options. Would you say that by starting with penny stocks and options and in the legacy market, did that give you an edge, or is it more an handicap?
So I would say it's an edge, right? Like any experience in any type of market is good experience, whether it be crypto, whether it be traditional finance options, you kind of have the basics down, So I do think I don't know if it was a big edge, but it was definitely an edge, knowing level 2, just knowing the basics, right? Because getting into crypto is kind of hard, especially if you're getting into crypto with no background with trading. Now, I will say that crypto's amazing for getting screen time, right? Because it's 24/7. You can come home from work at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever, and sit down and see naturally how BTC trades, how Ethereum trades, how some of these altcoin trades. So your experience is a little bit quicker. Because if you're trying to learn traditional markets and you have a regular job, well, most of the time that job is going to eat in through those market open hours. So that's the tough part as far as, trying to get a little bit going with traditional finance. The curve that you can learn with crypto, in my opinion, is faster because you get more experience quicker, you get screen time quicker, you can see the natural movement of price action quicker. With traditional finance, if you weren't able to trade the market open or the market close, all you were doing until the next morning was kind of like studying, right? That's all you could do. You couldn't really do much as far as buy or sell because markets were closed. You had after hours and pre-market, obviously, but very illiquid, hard to really get a judgment off what was happening. So I think that it helped a little bit, but I also think that being in crypto and it being open 24/7, it really kind of took my skill set and experience a lot quicker just because I was able to focus and actually get that screen time.
Yeah, very well said. There's a lot of screen time indeed in the crypto space.
It never closes, man. It's a beautiful thing and it's a bad thing. You kind of got to take it with pros and cons, but there are pros and cons to it.
Yeah, indeed. Especially if it is like well managed and if you know when to take a break and when not to take a break, and if you can distinguish these moments, it would be definitely helpful. But I think you also tackled on a really good thing. Uh, Let me introduce it with with my personal quote, and that's um, knowledge has a price, and so does ignorance. People who are not willing to, for example, join, for example, a group or buy a book, for example, or a course, thinking that all the alpha and all the information is, for free available. I personally don't think that this is a good mental edge. People, they need to invest in themselves. In
For
at
sure.
least, I think if you don't have read a book, uh, I would say then you don't actually take trading or yourself serious. And I'm not talking like about a thick book. You just a normal book about,
Mhm.
for example, candle patterns or classical
Yeah.
patterns, or
Yeah. Yeah.
a book about from Willie's has a lot of good valuable books. So I would, this brings me also to the question, and also about your personal TA journeys. How did you actually start with TA? Like, what kind of techniques have you dived into that helped you in your trading journey?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I love this question because I think being a technical analyst is so cool because you can find an edge off of so many different ways, right? Like, so I absolutely love trading and comparing it to golf. I love golf. I'm a big golf player, but there's a lot that makes sense with it, right? Because if you're a golfer and you're golfing with somebody, you're never, other than hitting off the tee box, it's never going to be the same lie, right? You're never going to have the same, no ball is going to sit on top of another ball and you're going to have to hit it. So that's kind of what the analogy that I use when it comes to like copying people, because a lot of people want signals, right? And they want to follow people, but then they lose and then they get mad. But the reality is everybody's different. There's too many factors when it comes to golf, just like there's too many factors when it comes to trading. Experience, portfolio size, willingness to add capital. So being doing TA is just amazing because there's so many ways that you can do it. I've kind of gone the route of just learning as much as possible. I think that you just need to be as open-minded and learn as much as possible when it comes to it. Don't think anybody's strategy is better or worse than this one over here, because you
Mhm.
got to be open-minded to what everybody's doing and what everybody's looking at, because everybody's looking at the same chart. It's just a matter of interpreting it
Yeah.
differently that makes sense for you to be able to buy at support and sell at resistance. And so for me, I did the whole thing. I did indicators, moving averages, EMAs, Fibonacci levels, pitchfork trading. But the reality is, I even did, some algorithmic trading. The reality is all of that over the course of 7 years that I've traded, some of the best technicals that I've started to learn from and make the most profit from is basic support and resistance. If you can identify basic support and resistance, you are already kind of ahead of the curve, right? Because you know when to long, you know when to short, and then also the opposite as well. If we're coming into a resistance level and you just have the mindset that it's a resistance level, well, then you know not to long, right? So you're preserving capital. You may not short it, right? But at the same time, you're not longing into a level that you know could go higher and really put you at risk. So I love technical analysis. I think that it is the coolest thing ever. That's another reason why I started loving trading so much is, you learn how this person does it, you learn how this person does it, and then you kind of combine a few of the things together. You kind of back test it. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it does work. Maybe it's a 60% hit rate. Maybe it's a 50% hit rate, right? So you go back and you rechange some things. You do more back testing. You take more entries. And so I just think that there's a lot out there and it can be very overwhelming for newer people. So just go into the mindset of learning everything that you can, right? Learn what this guy wants, what he's teaching, what this guy's teaching. Because taking it back to when I started in penny stocks, I learned from 3 or 4 different people. I wasn't just learning from one person thinking that this was the way that it has to be, or else, I can't trade. I took something from this guy, took something from this guy, and then kind of combined it into my own. And then also adding in some of my own things that none of these guys even taught me, that I just learned over the course of experience, right? So technicals are awesome. I love it. But also at the same time, it can be overwhelming. So just do what works best for you. But again, it takes experience. So if you're going to get into trading thinking that you're going to find the best method of technical analyst and become a millionaire right away, likely not going to happen. It can happen. And, there's a lot of success stories of it actually happening, but the percentage of it happening to somebody starting new is really low. So I just like to go into trading every single day with like a level head. And that's what my technicals allow me to do. They allow me to find support, resistance, and know exactly what's going on throughout that price action for that day or that month, whatever it may be.
A really good point. So, if I would come with this statement, it's good to start first as a generalist and then become a specialist in one area of TA. Would you agree or disagree? For example, first you want to learn a little bit about the RSI, the MACD, some of the principles of Elliott wave, the MAs, and then when you have like this global picture, like this helicopter picture of the bigger picture of TA, and then you just zoom in in one specific area and then trying to find your edge there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a matter of trial and error. And I think that's, one of my good buddies too, one of my good mentors, he always says, professional athletes didn't get to where they were for one night or 1 month. It took years and years of preparation, of sharpening those skill sets, of sharpening the body that they need to, that they need to have for that profession. And same thing with trading. It's a profession that you have to sharpen. It's going to take repetition. It's going to take time and effort to get those goals that you want to get to. So, if a professional athlete gave up on the first month of trying to do a new skill, like let's just say, I don't even know, but for that example, like you would never give up after trying for a month, and same with trading. If you start trading and you lose money and you give up after 1 month, it's kind of a moot point. You have to continue to put forth the effort so that you can build those skill sets. And for me, like it was, trying to just get the most I could out of my day, because when I first started trading, I was working a normal job, right? So I literally would take my lunch during power hour and take my laptop to work so that I could trade in the room where nobody was sitting, right? Yeah. And I would wake up early before I have to go to work, and I would trade the first 15 to 30 minutes of the market open before going to work. So, you have to be dedicated to finding a way to make it work, because there's so many excuses that people can come, oh, I have kids, oh, I have work that I have to go, oh, this or that. But the reality is nobody cares about your excuses. If I were to sit here and complain, nobody would care. If you were to sit there and complain, I'm sure people were to care. But the reality is the world doesn't really care, because everybody has issues. Everybody has problems. And so for me, trading is a way to kind of get out of that. So you have to put forth the effort necessary to become as successful as you want to be.
One of the first things you said in this show, and by the way, guys, those who are listening, give Castillo like a big shout out and a big like. I mean, we are like talking here for maybe 19 minutes, and he dropped so much alpha. Really, give this guy a shout out, hit the like button, and also more importantly, make notes, guys. Really, if you want to excel, just like
Absolutely.
make little notes, and then after this show, then think about these notes and see how you want to apply and make these alpha practical in your own trading journey. One of the things you said, Castillo, is look, I'm actually also a trading psychologist within the Burpness and LMP coach.
Yeah.
Your one of your main goals was actually time freedom, and I
Mhm.
love that you use really the specific word time and then freedom.
Mhm.
So this would tell me that your main motivator, your main motivation to trade is what we call towards a pleasure goal, time freedom. I
Mhm.
know a lot of people, they're trading because their main motivation is away from pain. For example, they hate their job,
Yeah.
they hate to live in debt, they hate to be poor. So
Yeah.
they actually identify first themselves as something negative, and
Mhm.
they try to escape from this negativities, and they try to find their refuge in, for example, in trading. And I think this is actually the wrong mindset. The good
Mhm.
mindset is first to have have a vision that motivates you rather than demotivates you. Because if someone opens the chart and he wants to make a living out of trading, he always reminds himself about the situation he hates, which
Yeah.
is being in debt, being poor, struggling, and sometimes away from pain. Motivation can help for the short term, but as we know, like trading is actually a long term thing. With
Yeah.
you need to have like a long breath to really excel in this specific area. And
Mhm.
then having a vision that motivates you is extremely important. And I
Yeah.
think this could be like, I would say this is one of the biggest pitfalls when it comes to trading and mindset. I'm sure you're gonna share us some, some charts in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But you had like a really long journey, and I think a lot of people can really learn from your, maybe like your own mistakes and what you have seen in this trading
Yeah.
arena. What other, one or two pitfalls should we be aware of to really excel in this trading space?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main one is just knowing that the market's going to take some money from you.
Yeah.
The big thing is when you go to college, what do? You have to pay college tuition to learn that education. You have to pay college tuition to get that scholarship or to get that, diploma that you want at the end, right? So it's the same thing. You have to pay your market tuition. You might not like it, and there might not be a fixed amount that you have to pay to get through, but just understand that not every trade is going to be a winner. You have to be a loser, and you have to be a good loser too. You have to be an active loser. When you lose, you want to, go in and see why you lost. You want to keep your track record. You want to understand, what went wrong with that trade or what went right with the trade. So, I think the biggest pitfall is like you were kind of talking about with psychology is just mindset. People come into this thinking that it's going to change their life right away. And that's just not the case. And again, I don't want to say that isn't the case together, because there are some examples of people being very successful off the
True.
gate and just becoming a millionaire and taking zero losses. So it's possible, but at the end of the day, it's not likely. And so you can't have that mindset going into it. Like, I just want to, like what you were talking about, get away from something that I dislike, because you're automatically starting to do this off of hate. You hate something, and for me, I did it as more or less as like an interest. I didn't really hate my job. I had a good job out of college that I had worked with a lot of people, but the reality is the 9 to 5 is hard. And everybody has debt. Everybody has a job that they don't like, or a routine that they don't like, or a part of their routine that they don't like. And even coming into trading and being a trader full time now, I still have problems in life. It doesn't mean that everything has completely, gone away and it's just like this dreamy life that you get to live. I live a very good and amazing life with my family, but that's the motivation, is my family, time freedom. I always talk about time freedom, not financial freedom, because when you
Yeah.
want to talk about financial freedom, you're chasing money. And when you're chasing money, that's not a good thing. You need to chase being good at a skill set. If you become good at trading, the money will come, right? If you become dedicated to learning a craft like trading, that's what it is. The money will come. So you have to have a mindset of something positive. And mine was always time freedom, right? Really before going full time, me and my wife lived in Seattle. We had a great, have a great life, that sort of thing. But then my wife got pregnant maybe about 2 years into me being trading full time. So with that, obviously just motivates you so much more. My wife is actually pregnant again. So we're expecting another daughter, 2 daughters, girl dad. But again, that's the motivation, man. The family, the kids. A lot of people can get very motivated by seeing like jets and watches, Rolexes, and just things that aren't important in life. And you have to kind of funnel that in on something, whether it be your mom, your dad, maybe a family member who's sick that you want to take care of, whatever it may be. But you have to have a motivation that keeps you up every single day. I've been doing this since 2016, and every morning I wake up, I'm happy that I get to go and sit in front of my computer and look at charts and talk to a bunch of traders that want to learn from me, or just get my insight on the market for the day. So yeah.
Yeah, that's totally true. Congrats, by the way. I
Thank
have
you.
2 kids, my own, and I know how it is, to trade actually for your family. It's different than trading for a Lambo or for expensive watch. That
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Talking about like learning and speculating. There is an interesting question from our friend Kurt. Sell the news when it gets approved. I think he started talking about ETF. What do you think about that, Castillo? So, do you have like an opinion about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good mindset, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. That's been a trademark technique, for years. And that I've learned that all the way back in penny stocks, right? When PRs would hit in the morning and it was like a rumor. Well, obviously, the rumor was a good. So, the first 10 minutes, the stock would kind of go up or whatever. But then, the approval would happen, like, or whatever it is, like, whatever the PR would say, the positive news would drop, and then, the stock would kind of go down. So I think that it's likely. Yeah. And so like we were talking about earlier, I think rejections are obviously bad, but holding periods of the ETF, I think is good. So I don't know. It's hard to really say. I think the approval might be one of those good buy the rumor, sell the news, but also just take into consideration that crypto is completely different than anything that we've seen before, right? With BTC, the halving, the fixed supply. So I don't like to compare it too much to TradeFi, because crypto is what we're trying to get. We're trying to get out of TradeFi. So when you kind of compare it to that, it doesn't really make, it's like apples and oranges, right? So I think that it's a good mindset to go into it. If it does get approved, maybe kind of have some hesitation. Don't be longing into the approval is what I would like to say, and to just kind of keep yourself a little bit, to have a little bit of risk off the table.
Yeah, yeah, very good points. Very good points. I'm sure you have some charts to share. Are you ready to
Yeah,
share
let's
them?
do it. Yeah. So okay, so I'm going to go over just a few things. And again, guys, this is what I talk about as far as just basic support and resistance. I'm not going to have those crazy colorful charts that go all over the place with, ribbons and, all that sort of stuff. I find it so much easier to just have very straightforward game plans, basic resistance levels, and basic support levels. And that's kind of the name of the game for me as far as trading. Now, I could also bring in some volume profile, and this again kind of brings me those heavy liquidity levels from previous days. If you don't know what volume profile is, I'll go into it just a little bit, but it's kind of more or less just volume that comes in on the side of the candle. And these NPOC prints are going to be what's called naked point of control. And all this does is it brings in the most liquidity for that day. So in a single candle here, in a single daily candle, we see that the most volume that came in on the day is right here. So basically all that indicates to me is that there is just some liquidity that kind of needs to be captured within that area. And so all that I kind of have of a mindset of is BTC to kind of come up and kind of close that NPOC level. And then you can kind of add it in with a few other things, right? So where we're currently at is currently a support level for median ML. And so again, kind of the same thing where those couple of confluence levels come into play. You have median ML support, you have NPOC support, and we kind of have like a bounce to the upside to kind kind of retest this area of upper limit. So again, this is just a quick little breakdown of what I like to look at as far as my trading goes. It's very, very simple, very straightforward. And again, I think that that is one of the keys. And let me just, this is coming from somebody who has a ton of experience with, you know, using indicators, using moving averages, using divergences, using any, you know, anything that's on this whole indicator list right here. I've completely have looked at it at some point and have added it to a chart, you know, parabolic SAR, stochastics, anything. And so for me, there's so much noise with trading. There's so much noise with technical analysis. There's so many ways to do it. And so I've kind of just gone the route to keep it very, very basic, keep it simple, stupid, the whole KISS. And that's kind of how I constructed the way that I trade.
Yeah, beautiful. A question out of curiosity: when did you exactly start with using the volume profile?
Volume profile. So volume profile actually did kind of come more into play with crypto for me. I've done some profiling for traditional markets, but as far as my trading strategy on like the stock market, I didn't really need or per se use volume profile that much, just because I was trading quick moves and I didn't really need levels for an active asset that is on, you know, moving 24/7. So I did start to learn a lot about volume profiling, NPOC levels, POC levels. A lot of people come to me thinking, you know, what these are. But this version, in my opinion, is really like a dumbed down version of volume profiling. All I do is it's an indicator on TradingView, and it's just called SVP, session volume profile. But there's so much more that goes into volume profiling. If you use Sierra charts or Exo charts, you can get so much more data that comes from, you know, what the actual volume profiling. But again, for me, that's a lot of noise. I don't need all that. I don't need all that information put in front of me to make a trade. All that I need are these NPOC levels. And that's kind of what I like to say about this TradingView NPOC print. It's kind of like a dumbed down version of what volume profiling really is. But volume profiling can just be so complex that newer people trying to learn it can be confused easily and just kind of deterred a little bit. So this is kind of my way of just kind of making things a little bit easier, but keeping the same principles.
Yeah. By the way, I like how you have managed all these your object tree on TradingView. Looks really organized. I love that.
Exactly. And I talk about this with my guys all the time. This is something that's key, is organization, right? You know, we have longs, we have shorts, and the way that I like to go about my game plans, right, is a lot of people want to jump into a trade right now. You know, they want to get in now. They think that they need to get the move down or get the move up or whatever. But I'm kind of like opposite. I create game plans for price action, and then I react when that game plan starts to unfold, right? So we have an MPOC level right here at 37409 and another one at 34479. So all that my basic game plans are sitting right here just isn't really an ideal entry, right? You want to see movement before jumping in. You know, a lot of people kind of veer away when price action starts to get volatile. That's when you need to be looking to enter. That's when you need to be looking to get involved, right? So for me, I've created this for my life. And again, I do these every single Monday for my trading members, guys, as we go over these live streams. We go over a lot of these setups that we have. We talk about them, NPOC levels to the upside, to the downside, previous setups that we've had over here. Talked about 25K NPOC level that was very, very big support that caused the massive bounce to 37K. We can go over that if you want to. But yeah, you know, I basically just come up with quick game plans, quick area. You know, if I want a long next, well, this isn't really a good long entry, right? Because we're pretty much sitting at the top of this entire move. So for me, the next entry of longing that I want to do is this 3, 4, 4, 5, 7. And again, is this going to be a magic technique that is going to work every single time? No, it's not 100% hit rate, just like nothing is 100% hit rate. So for me, just take, you know, kind of got to take things with a grain of salt. And, you know, jumping into a support level here, you know, and again, so we could just do 3, 4, 4, 5, 7. We can come here, add it to this chart, 3, 4, 4, 5, 7. And so we can see that we do have a little bit of pull down to this side. And if we do drop to lower limit, well, we know lower limit of support. We know we have an NPOC print here, and we are going to look to kind of long this area for a bounce higher. And so, you know, again, just very, very basic support and resistance levels.
Beautiful, beautiful. Out of curiosity, could you maybe like walk us through how you see Bitcoin moving forward in the coming for
Perfect.
this quarter?
Yes, I was hoping you'd ask this one. So, again, guys, I think that the markets can rally higher, and I want to do a little breakdown of a fractal that I have from 2019, and also some confluence here, right? So we do have a breakout of this very, very key 30K level, right? And so upon that breakout, we've kind of been talking about this setup all the way since March, right? So we've been following it for a while. Upon that breakout, we wanted a retest of this level, this blue box. But this blue box just, it's not a random level. It's a golden pocket Fibonacci from highs of lows of this entire move, right? So that's a good confluence level for higher. We also have a channel trend within this overall move, which has a median ML target as well, which again, adding confluence in this 48 to 50K area. And so that's currently what I'm looking for. And if we go back and look at the previous cycle that we had something very similar where it was support, support, support. And then we finally had that crack and then break above. And then we retested this golden pocket Fibonacci level right here. And this is the same exact, somewhat fractal that we're looking at here with retesting this same golden pocket Fibonacci around 48 to 50K. We do have some NPOC prints above around that area as well, around that 49.50. And so I think a move up to this area is very likely before we see any sort of move down. I do think that we're going to see a move down after this. As you can kind of see on this chart, I do think that there will be some sort of significant downside. I don't know how significant. It doesn't really matter to me, right? The only thing that I need to do is just you don't have to be 100% right. You can have targets that are off a little bit, but just know that once, like, let's just say this target right here is 48,405. Like, let's just say we get to 47,000. That's still a good enough area for me to start de-risking my longs from lower, right? Because if you continue to hold, levels might get front run. If you want 50K, we may only get to 49.9 or something, whatever. So it really does kind of help to kind of dollar cost average in and dollar cost average out to positions. And what I mean is like scaling in and out. So if you're buying Bitcoin all the way down here around 20K and you have, maybe 5 Bitcoin that you scaled into at this level, well, then you can kind of like start scaling out throughout this, maybe one sell here, maybe one here, and maybe this does explode even higher and you can get sells even higher up. So that's something that I talk about a lot too, is dollar cost averaging into plays and then also dollar cost averaging out.
Yeah, very smart. It's also recently what I shared a write-up about. Don't get blinded by a hard target. Just skill out. Because that gives you at least like some green powder to re-enter or to redistribute your funds.
And even like what you were just saying, like, don't get blinded by certain things. Like, I mean, just even this second retest of this upper limit, we established this as resistance previously before this move higher. So as this move starts getting into upper limit, we just know that we have to stay disciplined and not long that, because if you're looking to long this level, you're basically anticipating a breakout to happen. And normally it just doesn't really happen. In trending markets, it can be a little bit different. This is more of like channel current ranges, kind of sideways trading. But I mean, it's just a better risk reward. You want to get a discount on your entries. So if you want to long, where's the discount on your entry? Well, the discount's going to be lower. It's not going to be up here. You're paying for a premium on your longs if you long up at the upper limit.
Yeah, it makes totally sense. What would you tell to people who think like, well, it's at resistance and it's there for a while, consolidation, and if I don't enter a long position right now, we could see a breakout without giving us a retest, and they have like this urge of FOMO.
No, it's a perfect environment for that kind of question too, right? Because I feel like a lot of people are feeling that FOMO right now because they've kind of missed the BTC and Ethereum move. So they're kind of chasing some altcoins. They're kind of taking losses on altcoins. It's just kind of that weird part of the cycle where money is kind of cycling or circling around, and it's just kind of getting eaten up because people aren't as patient as they need to be. But, I would say that honestly, patience is so key. If you want an entry now, like let's just say you're looking at the 4 hour and you want to get on an entry now, well, then you have to zoom in a little bit, right? If you are watching the 1 day, the 4 hour, the 12 hour, and you want to get into a long entry, well, then you're probably going to have to dive in a little bit closer to the 10 to 15 minute. And again, this is kind of a good example here, is because maybe not a lot of people were wanting to long up here, but median ML has established itself as support. It was once resistance, once resistance, once resistance, now support level, now support level, now support level. So we've actually been given 4 times to buy a pretty good dip on BTC just by zooming into the 1 hour. So, that's what I like to say, is if you are too afraid to kind of jump in on a high term time frame, we'll zoom into the lower term time frames and see if you can find yourself an entry based on those. And then also too, don't overexpose yourself too soon. Take a starter position. I talk about this a lot, is, take a starter position, kind of tack on something small so that it keeps you interested in that price action. It keeps you watching whatever asset you're trying to trade. And then also, it gives you a plan to kind of add lower if that's the plan, or, to kind of take profits into higher, whatever your breakdown of that plan could be. But I will say is, people do need to have a plan going into a setup, right? Like if they're longing up here, well, what's the plan on longing that area? Is it a breakout? Is it a retest of anywhere? Is it a significant level on our channel trends or current ranges, that sort of thing? So for me, it just having patience to kind of get those better entries. Again, you want a discount on your entries, not a premium.
Very good one. I would tell, if I may summarize it, if you're too late for the boat, you're on time for the next boat.
Exactly. Like, just don't freak out. Like, just take a starter position. Just stay level headed. And again, I think that's what a lot of my system does, right? Is because when a lot of people are, when price action is kind of pumping higher, I'll just do a quick example for a replay that we had just actually this week over in the Telegram. So for me, we started to kind of get up into, again, those highs, right? But we had these 3 NPOC prints to the downside. And so for me, I was telling my group, like, look, guys, this isn't a good long up at this level. Let's wait for a little bit more downside. And we were targeting kind of these NPOC levels. And I think I have over here, I created this on 11/13. So about 5 days ago, we were looking to kind of long these levels. And if you just kind of play this, it ended up working out perfectly to kind of get that entry. It didn't close all the NPOC levels, but again, it gave you those starter positions that you could possibly take so that you're not feeling that FOMO of missing the boat.
Yeah, totally makes sense. It's just, bringing things into the right context that can
Exactly.
avoid FOMO.
One quick thing on that context thing, because it makes so I had a mentor one time, and this was in penny stocks, and he blew up so quick. He started penny stocks after me. I think I was doing penny stocks for a year, and he was able to cross like that 50K or that 500K, that 1 million threshold on profits very, very quickly. And I had a conversation with him when I was in Florida, and we were just having some conversations over some drinks, and he told me, he's like, dude, you are overcomplicating things. He's like, my trading started to go exponentially well when all I did was find basic support and find basic resistance levels. Because if anything, it's giving you that process of knowing when not to long, knowing when not to short. And if you know when not to do those things, then you know when to react to do the other that makes you profitable. And so I'll always take that, as something that is very precious. It's such easy advice, right? Just find support and resistance and you'll be fine. But the reality is it's the easiest and best way to go about trading, in my opinion. Again, there's people that will argue that like algo trading is better, that sort of thing. But, for me and my experience, it's just being able to find basic support, resistance and support levels.
Yeah. I think it totally makes sense. I'm not a mechanical trader. I'm a discretionary trader. I do have some hard principles, but I also have some soft principles. Sometimes I do deviate from them, but I never do deviate like from the hard principles. So it makes so much sense. I see also here a question from Erica, and I think she has waited for a really long time to get her question answered. So kudos to you, Erica, for your patience. She's asking here, what's your advice in terms of strategy for the next year and a half for those starting now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love this question too, because I think bringing newer people in is amazing, right? You want newer people in. You don't want to bring in new people and then they just get slaughtered and then they hate the industry and then leave right away, right? So the thing that and again, this actually came from, this is good advice from Lomo Crypto. Lomo Crypto actually was kind of talking about this the other day. But you kind of have to sharpen your tools for the environment that's going on, right? So for the next, like you said, year and a half, next year and a half, well, we might be trending up that entire time. So with those tools that you need to be sharpened, maybe the ones that need to be sharpened are having more patience, right? Maybe you need to not close certain positions when you're down and just kind of add to those positions, because we're seeing a lot of dips getting bought up aggressively, right? So with that being said, is there's just certain things to kind of sharpen as far as tool sets go during environments. During bearish environments, you have to be less aggressive. You can't be, longing everything. You have to really be a little bit more short heavy. Kind of talk about like you have to flow like water, right? And then in our current condition, a bull condition where we've been going up, you kind of have to have the same thing, but opposite. You need to be more aggressive on the buys. You need to not short as much. You need to look for pullbacks that you can find entries on, and then also not freak out on those pullbacks. So I think the best strategy for a year and a half, in my opinion, year and a half, is just to hold. If you're an active trader, that's one thing, but for maximizing your ROI for some of these altcoins, the best thing, and even I find myself having trouble doing this, right, is just holding through some of the downside, because altcoins currently just took a pretty decent hit. But the reality is Bitcoin structure has stayed pretty solid, right? So there's just kind of navigating that, right? So you don't want to freak out thinking that altcoins are going to zero when Bitcoin still looks very sound and reacting off support very well. So there's just certain things, I guess, that you need to be prepared for throughout, the markets. But the best in terms of strategy for the next year and a half, honestly, sitting on your hands to try and maximize those ROI is probably the best thing.
I hope this answers your question, Erica. And to add on that, there's a lot of research. Those who buy and hold in general, they yield actually more profit than those money managers who just buy and sell things here and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's even like also report when it comes to crypto, like buying and holding yields actually more than really like the big boys. And what you said, Castillo, so also makes totally sense. Is you can have like a high buy and hold portfolio, and then next to it a trading portfolio.
Exactly.
Don't mix them. Don't mix them up. Just
Exactly.
the buy and hold portfolio is there, and on the other side, there is my trading portfolio. Out of
Exactly.
curiosity, Castillo, like, is there any specific altcoin, like one of these blue chips you're bullish on, or do you rather prefer to just focus on Ethereum and Bitcoin in general?
Well, for a long time, I've been focusing on Bitcoin and Ethereum just because I felt like altcoins really haven't offered the return. But now I think that it's time to shift focus on more altcoins. There's really a time and place to focus on altcoins, especially during a big cycle. And I think that it's starting to be now. Like, does that mean that I think that we're going to go all the way, to new highs, from here? No, but I do think that it can bring, some starter positions, right? Because this is kind of what we're looking at on a lot of altcoins that are just kind of beaten down and kind of kind of just ranging down at these lows. Really, we've seen some low-term time frame breakouts on a lot of altcoins, right? And so it's just a matter of how you want to perceive that. Because if you look at the price, and this is just an example, Zen is up 133% from its lows of this year, right? So for me, it's hard to long into a play like that. but you do have to understand the situation and the nature of the market. If a lot of altcoins are starting to make these low or these high term time frame breakouts, well, then it's the kind of time to start focusing on them, and focusing on the ones that are reacting well, because, obviously Link, Sol, RNDR,
Mhm.
OXO, there's been a ton of winners out there, and big winners too. So I think it's just now I've been focusing on Ethereum and Bitcoin for the most part the last year and a half, 2 years maybe. But now it's time for me to start shifting to a lot of altcoin trading and a lot of micro cap trading, that sort of thing.
Interesting, interesting. Because my take, for example, on Horizon or Zen, I haven't traded this, I think, for a long, long time. I haven't charted Horizon really, actually. But just like my quick glance would be, most traders or most people who bought Horizon, however to pronounce it, they're actually in a
Mhm.
loss, right? Only those who bought somewhere between May and like the consolidation period from May to I don't know what it is, October. Yeah, indeed, those are actually in profit. But all the other guys who've been hodling or buy when they both Zen summer in September, all the way up, they're actually all in loss. So it
Yeah.
does give me a sense of, well, this could give me a good risk reward ratio.
Exactly. And that's kind of like the thing with altcoins right now, is you really got to find those big, like those ones that are kind of like bottoming, like even like Doge, right? Like Doge is looking pretty good too for a next leg higher, as it is starting to break out of those low term time frame,
Hmm.
areas.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of this is just kind of what a lot of altcoins look like right now. They've been, and this is what I say, I haven't been focusing on them for, a year plus, is because look at this. Why would
Yeah.
you want
Yeah.
to be focusing on stuff like this? The big movers are still BTC and Ethereum, but altcoins, I've been crushed on a few altcoins before. So you kind of learn when not to mess with them.
Yeah.
And I just think that this is just the part of the cycle that needs to be a little bit more focused on altcoins. We are getting a little bit of those breakouts on high term timeframes, and again, you can look at it as like, oh, it's a breakout, but on the low term time frame, it's up 300%. It's hard to chase that. Or you can look at it as a bigger picture, zoom out, and just be like, okay, well, we haven't seen these breakout levels in over 2.5 years. What's going on here? Time to focus type mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. Really, really good question. Good take on that, indeed. Also, Bitcoin, I think, outperformed most of the bigger altcoins.
Yeah, it
Um,
really did. It really did.
so good, really good one that you primarily focused on Bitcoin.
Hmm.
Um, Let me bring us back, like our faces, to the screen. Um, yeah, exit full. I just made the chart extra big so everybody could see it easily without seeing your beautiful face, Castillo. So I'm sorry
Cool,
for
cool,
that,
cool.
guys. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, not sure if you guys have any questions here. Um, I see here a question about the POC, proof of control, or a point of control, I mean.
Mhm.
Uh, an indicator you use for the N POC levels, or do you, or how do you know how to draw those in?
Yeah, so I do it manually. I have a couple videos on YouTube that kind of go over a little bit more in depth, but actually these print themselves, these red lasers, and then I go in and I add a horizontal ray to these ones. So you can kind of move it around, but I just use it so that it can kind of be an indicator for me. And then I use these as just markers for my Telegram group. It's just a little bit easier to kind of see where that NPOC print is upon sending them charts and stuff like that. But yeah, I go in and manually add the NPOC, like just like this little NPOC part myself. But really, you can take them away. You don't need to have them. Again, I just use it to. I'm very organized as a person and as a trader, as you can see. So it's just
Mhm,
something that I
mhm.
do to make it a little bit easier for me and for my traders to kind of know and understand what's going on with NPOC levels. But yeah, I got a YouTube video for that crypto roundtable. If you want to check it out, man, it goes over a little bit more in depth what I'm looking for and how I use them.
Yeah, why not dropping your YouTube here just in the comments so people can easily find you? Oh wait, you also have your own website, right?
Yeah, I do. I do have my own website. This one is for VIP members only. So it's free. You don't, all you have to do is just message me on Twitter and we can get you access. But yeah, it's for VIP members only. And this is kind of where I put all my content. And I have a weekly video series Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. I come out with a live stream on Monday. Wednesday, we do VIP NPOC and daily POC prints where we just go over editing and creating new setups based on NPOC levels. And then we have Friday breakdown segments. Again, just a quick breakdown of what we're looking at into the weekend and into next week. And then also I have been teaching a lot of options lately, and Synquote is a options trading platform. And that's kind of where I do this video on Saturday and Sunday, where we just go over breakdowns of my positions, what I'm looking for, and so on.
Super interesting. I just shared also your Twitter handle so people can easily find you. Already seeing people just follow you, just followed. Thanks, man. Castillo, I want to thank you. You've been so generous with your knowledge and your insights, also with your time. Big shout out to you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Give Castillo a big shout out. Hit the like button. Also, tell to others on Twitter that you really enjoyed this one. If you have learned something, I at least learned a lot of things. I think you guys made some notes. I always say, don't absorb information for the sake of absorbing, and taking information, absorbing information for the sake of to bring yourself to the next level. Castillo, maybe like a personal question. Me as a trader, but also as a trading psychology coach, I believe in rewarding yourself, once in a while. When was the last time when you have rewarded yourself for being in this training arena? And
I went on Saturday, I guess. Yeah. So my wife and daughter were out of town on Saturday, and I went to sit ringside at the Kraken game, the NHL hockey Kraken game. So I guess I was by myself. I didn't really have much to do on a Saturday night, and got some ringside tickets and was able to go and enjoy that. So that's kind of what I like to spend my money on, is experiences, man. Going on trips and taking family places, traveling the world, going to events that are important. I'm a big sports guy, so sporting events are huge for me. Floor seats at the Portland Trailblazers, that sort of thing. So that was probably the last time I really kind of gifted myself. And again, I was by myself, no kid, no wife, so I was able to enjoy it a little bit more.
I understand where you're coming from.
When you got a kid on your lap, man, it's hard to look around where the puck is. So
as much as I love them, doing some going to some events without kids is sometimes a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I exactly know where you're coming from. Hey, Castillo, thank you so much. Big shout out to you, and hope to have you again on one of our next live streams.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate everybody listening.
Okay, bye, guys.
Peace.
Peace out.